Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is January 14th, 2021, and this is episode 177, I believe. Hey, today we're going to take a look at the latest from Terry Moore called Serial. One of the things I like about Terry Moore is I can actually pronounce his name correctly. And he's also the writer and the artist, so that makes it even doubly easy for my task here. This is an Abstract Studios production, and this is number one in the series. So I'm assuming this is going to be a series, as we were left with a bit of a cliffhanger. Now, on the cover here, I believe this is a character that has appeared in Rachel Rising and maybe the Strangers in Paradise 2. Kind of a psychotic little girl who likes to murder people. And I don't know if it's the same character. They really haven't gone into it that much, but it appears it is so far. And this cover kind of shows her holding, looks like a katana maybe, and a juice box in the other hand, and it looks like she has slayed a few people here as someone comes after her wearing a mask and holding a straight razor. So there's a nice diagonals going on with the lightning bolts of blood. I've always liked Terry Moore. I wish I could draw as well as he can, and I do aspire to do a comic one day, sort of in his style, as much as I can do it. And it'll be my own style because I can not emulate this man's. So let's take a look inside. We don't have to spend too much time on who wrote and drew it because we already know. I don't recall if I've reviewed Motor Girl. I did read this one, and it was a fun book. There were a couple great scenes in it. Overall, to me, it wasn't a keeper, but it was worth the read. So get a free review there, right there. Okay, we start out. Revenge doesn't stop, Daniel Craig, and we see this vehicle perched on this sheer cliff overlooking the ocean. And we get this dialogue right off the bat between a young 16-year-old girl and her manager at the burger joint, who's like 23 years old. And I guess he was supposed to be giving her a ride home. He's making the moves on her. He starts to try to kiss her, and she pulls away and gets out of the car. And she kind of walks off pouting by herself, and he's going, "Hey, what's the deal?" Then she starts pulling the old, "You touched me, you assault me," and he starts freaking out, going, "No, no, 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 I didn't mean to. I was just wanted to kiss. All you had to say was no." And she said, "I did say no," and you just kept going. So he is kind of a creep, and plus he's obviously not that good looking with the mustache and all that. Well, he grabs her, she kicks him in the nutsack, and he starts to lose his footing, and he is hanging on for dear life in the next page. He's begging for her to help, and she looks like she might help him, and then she just stands there and watches him as he slowly loses his grip and plunges down below. So Brandon, the assistant manager, is gone. Kendall, we think her name is Kendall, is watching the proceeds. She goes back to the car, takes her sweater off, wipes down the scene. So now we believe like something else is afoot here. And she walks off into the woods, seemingly as though maybe she set the scene up for some reason. She finds a motorcycle hidden under a tree, and it's hers. It's got the helmet. She puts on the leathers, and she takes off back down into the city to a storage area. She goes inside one of the garages, and you can see she's got a car in there and a makeup table. So she seems to be almost like some kind of assassin or something. We don't know. We're not really told at this point. However, she changes out of her clothing, and this part I was a little bit unsure of. But she starts wiping her face, and it appears she has a black eye and a busted lip. under all that makeup. But then she combs her hair out, puts new contact lenses in, maybe to change her eye color, bags the clothes that she was wearing at the scene of the murder, and gets back into the car this time instead of the motorcycle, and locks up and drives off out of the storage area. Now I'm looking at this perspective in here. This looked a little weird to me. I don't know if it's correct or not. But you see in the background is the cliff where the gentleman fell off of, Brandon, the assistant manager at the burger joint. But just look at this. I love this sequential art, and this whole thing is excellent. He does a really good job. So this is actually a really fast read because there is very little dialogue to comprehend, to read, to piece together. There was at the very beginning, of course, when the struggle was going on, but that was even fast moving because it was just a play between the cat and the mouse turned out to be fairly deadly. So yeah, this was a really fast read book, but I actually enjoyed it a lot more than his last book ever that came out maybe a month or two ago. I'm not sure. And that was like a trade paperback of about 60 pages. And that one was more Old Testament story. This is just straightforward action, thriller, horror, a lot of stuff going on. So then we see the cover girl on the cover here. She's sleeping and out in the woods. It looks like she's got a camper here. And so she must be a little bit older than I remember her from the book. But when she's dreaming now, she has this dream where it kind of doesn't make sense. She's looking for her mom. She's got $10,000, and suddenly all these faces appear. And it turns out to be this collection of, they're all male, and they're all threatening, with their own reasons. And the doll she's holding has little knives in its shoes that flick out all of a sudden, and she whips it around, attacking the crowd and chopping off heads and limbs and whatnot, having a good old time. And just destroying everybody in that room. And suddenly, just as she's enjoying her dream so much, the phone rings and wakes her up. So turns out she gets a call from someone back at the house saying they found Brandon at the bottom of Lookout Point, and they're checking their house. And so I don't think this is the same girl that was playing Kendall. I really doubt it. But she heads off. She says she'll be at the house in 20 minutes. So that's where they left it. So there's a lot of unanswered things, but they're very interesting places to stop. I'm definitely going to be on the next one. Just a really, really fast read, though. Fast read, especially for me. And we get a couple ads for Stranger in Paradise, his breakthrough novel way back in the early aughts, and also Terry Moore's Ever, which just came out, The Way Out. It was 72 pages. I said 60. It's actually 72 pages. And that was more of a philosophical Old Testament, new take on the Old Testament style story. And I don't know if it's going to continue or not. We get this shot of Echo. I loved Echo. I recommend that highly. That came out, I think, right around 2010, that era. And then another ad just for the whole group here, 5 years. Terry Moore, hardcover omnibus. So there you go. And then, of course, the blurb for the wonderful series, Rachel Rising. Very horror-filled, supernatural, just about everything you could wish in a comic, a horror comic. So, recommended, if I haven't mentioned it already. And as always, thank you for stopping by and listening to me go on about Terry Moore, one of my heroes in the comic industry. And we'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. As always, please subscribe, please like, please listen again. Please leave comments. As always, this is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.